Hello, and thank you for joining us today to learn more about artificial intelligence in Pittsburgh. My name is Kyle Chintalopoli. I am the Vice President for Business and Economic Development at the Pittsburgh Regional Alliance. We are the economic development agency for the 10-county Southwest Pittsburgh region. And I will be joined today by my colleague, Camille Johnlen, who is our project fellow and a critical member of the business investment team. Before we get started today, we did want to let everyone know we have opened the chat feature and encourage all of you to introduce yourselves and interact with each other through there as we're giving the presentation today. Please also use the chat feature and the Q&A feature for any questions you might have for us, and we'll address as many as we can at the end of our presentation. Pittsburgh is an iconic city at the forefront of what's next. There are companies, startups, universities, and more, all meeting the world's biggest challenges and building a next generation economy here. We are open to innovative companies who are excited about growth and entrepreneurs looking to have an impact and build something remarkable here. Today, we will provide you an overview of what's happening in Pittsburgh, our local AI ecosystem, the companies who are forging new technologies here, the talent that supports it all, and then finish the presentation with a brief look at the resources and amenities available in our region. And as I mentioned, we'll close out the session by taking some questions from all of you. The greater Pittsburgh region is made up of 10 counties with a population of 2.6 million people. Our regional economy, which is the 6th largest in the United States, is $139 billion with a workforce of 1.3 million people. Our millennial population is at 490,000 and growing at a pace faster than the national average. And all of that with a median home sales price of $155,000. Now, we really see this as our moment. And because we believe it's the our moment, we feel strongly that it is your moment too. In Pittsburgh, you will be part of a top R&D driven innovation hub and an emerging global startup ecosystem that in 2019 received a record $3 billion in venture capital funding. Our tech talent pool, which has increased at nearly 21% over the past 5 years, stands at over 45,000 people. And as evidenced, we are one of the fastest growing US cities for tech jobs just last year. There is truly something happening in Pittsburgh, and others are taking notice, as evidenced by headlines in leading publications and rankings that note just how cool a place we are, as well as a great place to find a job, buy a home, start a business, and build a life. Pittsburgh also offers incredible access and connectivity. We are within 500 miles of 45% of the US buying power, over 40% of the population in the United States and Canada, and we offer nonstop air service to 62 destinations, including key tech and innovation hubs like London, Frankfurt, New York, Boston, San Francisco, Seattle, and Toronto. Our region is home to a dynamic economy that today is being driven by deep tech, research-driven companies across a number of sectors, including manufacturing, life sciences, energy, logistics and transportation, and where we'll focus our time today within tech and AI. Now, even though AI happened here first over 60 years ago at Carnegie Mellon University, Pittsburgh continues to pioneer what's next in AI in its application to transform a host of industries. When we talk about AI, and certainly AI in Pittsburgh, it really starts with Carnegie Mellon. CMU is a global leader in computer science and AI. They were home to the first ever undergraduate program focused in artificial intelligence, and are home today to the #1 AI graduate program in the United States. At $141 million, they have the 3rd highest computer and information science R&D spend of any university in the United States. And they have a host of programs as well that partner with civic leaders, nationwide to apply AI and advanced technologies to address critical world challenges. Those include the Block Center for Technology and Society, the Metro 21 Smart Cities Institute, and then this map really depicts the breadth of applications of AI happening just at Carnegie Mellon alone. Few cities are able to have one top-tier research institution. We consider ourselves incredibly fortunate because we have two in Carnegie Mellon University and the University in Pittsburgh. Not only that, they're located within 1 square mile of each other, and they work incredibly well together. There are a few examples here of research centers that sit between both schools as well as at Carnegie Mellon. The first is the Pittsburgh Supercomputing Center. Now, this is a joint CMU and Pitt R&D center. And in June of 2020, they received a $5 million grant from the NSF to build a revolutionary AI supercomputer called Neocortex. The Army's Futures Command AI Task Force established its initial hub at Carnegie Mellon University, and they are set up to engage universities and companies in applying AI to support national defense projects. The National Robotics Engineering Center, which is part of Carnegie Mellon's Robotics Institute, they develop and mature robotics technologies and solutions from concept to commercialization. The Advanced Robotics Manufacturing Institute, which was actually founded at Carnegie Mellon, but now is their own independent nonprofit, actively develops, demonstrates, and facilitates early adoption of emerging technologies like robotics, artificial intelligence, to bolster productivity and adaptability for businesses of all sizes. And the Health Data Alliance is another joint initiative of the University of Pittsburgh, Carnegie Mellon, and UPMC. There, they leverage their respective strengths and really are able to turn data into improved health outcomes and spin out companies in support of that work. At this point, I'd like to introduce my colleague, Camille Johnlen, to speak about our ecosystem and the companies who are building it here.
Great, thanks, Kyle. And welcome, everyone. I'd like to, again, encourage you to introduce yourself and your organizations in the chat, just so that you can see who else is here and get connected. And please do use the Q&A feature as well, so that we can answer some of your questions after the session. So I will start off today by talking about the ecosystem that is supporting and supported by AI in Pittsburgh. So our AI ecosystem is made up of over 130 AI companies, startups, and enterprises. And these companies range across a number of verticals intersecting with AI. So those verticals include robotics, of course, but also healthcare, mobility, augmented reality, Internet of Things. And there are companies across all 10 of these sectors that are supported by the really strong foundation of AI in Pittsburgh. You'll hopefully recognize a lot of these companies here, but Pittsburgh is known as a location for tech companies to make their next big investment. So Duolingo was the first unicorn in Pittsburgh. You'll recognize Amazon Alexa, as well as Facebook Reality Labs, doing a lot of work in augmented and virtual reality. Argo AI, which you'll learn more about later, is doing a lot of work in autonomous vehicles. And then Marinus Analytics actually is a smaller company, but they are a finalist in the IBM Watson AI X Prize competition. This has been a multi-year competition. Marinus Analytics is the only US company to be one of the 3 finalists for a award that's between $500,000 and $3 million. So $500,000, $3 million. And they are working on software that uses facial recognition technology to combat sex trafficking. So if you're not familiar with Pittsburgh, this is a map of the city, and map courtesy of our partners at Innovate PGH, who have mapped just how many tech companies are in Pittsburgh, which is there are a huge number of companies. Excuse me, Kyle will talk later about some of these clusters that you're seeing here, but we'd like to point out how there are some large companies, especially headquartered on the West Coast, that have opened offices in Pittsburgh as sort of research outposts. These are smaller offices that are doing a lot of innovative work and tapping into the talent coming out of the universities, as well as the expert researchers here and participating in the innovation ecosystem overall. So to give you an idea of the investment that is going into our tech and AI ecosystems, in the past decade, 6.6 billion has been invested in 600 companies, as well as 10 billion in university research. Also in the past decade, there have been 103 company exits with a total valuation of 10.7 billion. And just in the past 5 years, about 270 investment firms from around the world have invested in Pittsburgh companies. There's a whole lot of activity here. If you would like to learn more about investment, I encourage you to check out the Ernst & Young and Innovation Works annual tech sector report. So a lot of this activity is recent. There's been increased activity in the tech sector, not just over the past decade, but recent years, with 800 plus startups on AngelList, with a total valuation, average valuation of 4.3 million. And 2019 was a record year for investment in Pittsburgh tech companies, with nearly $3 billion invested in 139 unique tech companies. A lot of this can be attributed to corporate investments in the autonomous vehicle sector. So we'd like to give you a sense of the support organizations that are supporting not just AI startups, but AI companies at any level, but especially targeting the growing entrepreneurial hub in Pittsburgh. So a few of these we'd like to highlight are Innovation Works, which is the largest seed stage investor in southwestern Pennsylvania, but also one of the most active in the US. They have 3 accelerator programs. One, Alpha Lab, is helping to accelerate software startups. Alpha Lab Gears working on hardware startups, and then the newest accelerator, Alpha Lab Health, is helping to support and accelerate life sciences and healthcare startups. And they actually just have their first cohort that started last month, which we're really excited about. Innovate PGH is an important partner of us at the PRA. They are a public-private partnership that is accelerating Pittsburgh's status as a global innovation city. They were founded in 2018, and they also host the Innovation District in Pittsburgh, which is about a square mile area in Pittsburgh's central Oakland neighborhood that is a convening space for universities, hospitals, researchers, and emerging technologies. We would be remiss not to talk about the Pittsburgh Technology Council. They are doing an immense amount of work in all components of the tech industry, supporting companies with business development, talent retention, government relations. They have a venture arm called 40 by 80. So Pittsburgh Tech Council is definitely something to check out at any level of tech company. And then we'd like to call out the Pittsburgh Robotics Network as well. They were founded in 2018 by company leaders, robotics company leaders, helping to accelerate robotics and AI adoption by bridging Pittsburgh robotics with the world. So there are so many additional services for startups and AI companies. This is definitely not an exhaustive list, but I'd like to mention One Valley, formerly known as GSC Labs, as well as Startup Genome, which are 2 organizations that are entering the Pittsburgh market this year, and they are in different but equally vital ways are going to support entrepreneurs, founders, and getting them connected to a global network. I'd also like to call out PGH AI, as well as PART, the Partnership to Advance Responsible Technologies, that are doing vital work in addressing the ethical considerations of AI. So in this next section, we're going to talk a bit about the companies that are building it here, the companies that are making significant investments and growing in Pittsburgh. So we get to start off with a video today that will highlight Argo AI.
I'm Brian Seletsky, CEO at Argo AI. We want to make getting around the city safer, more enjoyable, and easier for everybody. this technology has a real possibility of eliminating someday road crashes, which I think is a big deal. You know, Pittsburgh has some of the brightest minds across so many different industries, whether it be robotics, artificial intelligence, science, medicine. It's a great place, there's a lot of talent here. I can't think of a better place to be tackling some of the world's hardest problems.
So great. Hopefully that gives you a good sense of Argo AI. They're an amazing company, and Brian Selesky is always a really inspiring leader in the tech community here. Next, I'll go into 3 examples of AI companies that have grown significantly in Pittsburgh just over the past 5 years, starting with Tatum, which is a developer of a machine learning platform for companies to be able to apply AI solutions really across industries. They were founded in 2016 after spinning out of CMU and won an incredible $108 million in private equity funding within 2 years. So Tatum is headquartered in the Strip District in an area that we refer to as Robotics Row due to the huge number of robotics and AI and autonomous systems companies clustered in that area. Also notably, Tatum was one of just 61 global companies to win a recognition from the World Economic Forum for being a technology pioneer. We'd like to call out Visimo as well, a great company founded in 2015 by James Julius, who, at first was noticing how large companies could use more advanced data science and visual analytics tools to help their leaders make large company decisions. And since then, this company has expanded quite a bit, now developing open source data science tools and cloud-based software, custom AI and machine learning solutions. So Visimo also partners closely with academic and government institutions. They're working with the Army AI Task Force that Kyle earlier mentioned, and the CMU Software Engineering Institute right now to develop a data science platform for the US Army. So here I'd like to mention that there are quite a number of Department of Defense projects in Pittsburgh, in AI and cybersecurity and others that are receiving federal funding and working to make really big impacts. And finally, Gridwise is an exciting company founded in 2016 by Ryan Green, and it is an app-based platform to increase efficiency and earnings for rideshare and delivery drivers. So Ryan Green actually started by crowdsourcing ideas from rideshare drivers in order to best understand the challenges that they're facing and how to, make some of their work easier and more efficient with higher earnings. So they closed a $3.3 million funding round in February of last year. This allowed them to expand from 41 US cities to having a nationwide presence. They are also headquartered in the Strip District near Tatum, and a lot of their staff are CMU grads. So I'd like to talk more about talent, because talent is one of Pittsburgh's primary competitive advantages. We'll start by talking about some of the talent pipeline. So in Pittsburgh, in the 10-county region, there are 88 universities and post-secondary institutions, a huge number of institutions of higher learning here, with about 143,000 annual enrollment and 45,000 annual degree completions. Within this, about 12,000 are technology degrees and certificates conferred annually. So this provides an amazing base of young talent for companies that are in Pittsburgh, growing in Pittsburgh. And in terms of the existing workforce, our talent team at the Pittsburgh Regional Alliance is working closely with employers as well as our workforce development partners to expand the presence of tech training providers in Pittsburgh. So we're very fortunate to have Year Up and Perscola, two national tech training providers expanding in Pittsburgh, I think starting next month with their first cohorts. That will greatly increased the number of opportunities for tech training for the existing workforce, as well as diversify the talent pipeline that is going to our regional employers. So if you recall a number from way back to the beginning of the presentation that Kyle mentioned, is that there are 45,000 people employed in the Pittsburgh region's technology sector, and a whole lot more in the creative class as well. And with the increased activity in our tech sector, so much momentum going on with our companies, increased investment, that also means that the professional and social amenities for these technology professionals is on the rise. There's a growing downtown residential population, a growing young population in general, especially in Pittsburgh's Lawrenceville neighborhood, a really exciting neighborhood. There are over 40 co-working spaces and 8 Fortune 500 companies headquartered in Pittsburgh. So a lot is happening to make sure that this talent is finding exactly what they want here. And finally, I'll end with showing you a bit about the job openings that are in Pittsburgh AI specifically right now. So over the last 12 months, January 2020 to January 2021, there have been 1,138 unique AI jobs posted. And these are posted across a number of companies, but these are the top 10 listed here. So what's really exciting about these top 10 companies is you can see that they're not all just technology companies. BNY Mellon, for example, a bank, is hiring AI, specifically Deloitte, a service provider. So that's a really important component of Pittsburgh that I'd like to reiterate, is how the foundation of AI is supporting all of our industries. And in terms of talent, the PRA does have a talent team that works every day to attract talent, retain talent, convene regional employers and recruiters. So if you have any talent questions, there's a big resource here at the PRA. So with that, I'll turn it back to Kyle to talk more about real estate assets, quality of place, and we'll get into questions soon after.
Great, thanks, Camille. So we do have the real estate assets to support growth across all 10 counties. This includes 11.5 million square feet of office, 9.5 million square feet of industrial, and 2.5 million square feet of flex. Within the city center alone, there's over $12 billion in development projects underway and announced. We'll highlight a few here, and as Camille mentioned, this will also speak to some of the clusters that have developed in and around the city. So on the North Shore, there's continued development happening between PNC Park and Heinz Field, our two major league stadiums, which is a mixed-use development that's supporting office. SAP's regional headquarters are located there, and there's a number of different development parcels still to remain where development has been announced. Immediately adjacent to downtown is the Lower Hill District. And there's a development being pursued there, which will be mixed use as well. FMB recently announced a new headquarter tower, and there'll be other follow-on buildings that can support more robust growth within the tech sector as well as others. The Strip District, which Camille mentioned, has been known as Robotics Row. There's been a tremendous amount of investment there over the last 5 years to really build out robotics companies, startups, and support organizations, accelerators, et cetera, within that area of the city. And then the south side, the development that you see here, which is really adjacent to downtown, is called the High Line. Within this development and the south side more broadly, there's a lot of cool converted office space and space for creatives as well. And then lastly, the Oakland Shadyside area of the city, which is the innovation district that Camille mentioned earlier. You see a lot of companies that are locating there in order to be near the universities for R&D purposes, initial landing spaces, or accelerators coming right out of the schools, or startups coming right out of the schools, pardon me. The two developments that are here, the top one by Walnut Capital and the bottom one by Wexford Science and Technology, are really focused around life sciences as well. So the Pittsburgh region provides you and your talent with an experience unlike anywhere else. There truly is something for everyone, which empowers you to not only enjoy your work, but to love your life outside of it. Here you will find a striking balance of architecture set among abundant natural beauty with our 3 inviting rivers, rolling highlands, and verdant forests never far away. A burgeoning food scene that is uniquely authentic to this place and has options to satisfy just about every appetite. Performing and visual arts venues that rival any major city, yet they remain incredibly accessible and affordable. And a sports culture that is renowned, the world over. And here you can see a number of the cultural amenities that are concentrated just in the center city, to say nothing of everything available across the 10 counties in Southwest PA. We do want to thank everyone for joining us. Again, please use the chat feature, the Q&A. We'll take some time now to answer your questions, and then come back up to remind you of the future sessions, as this is the next or the most recent in the series of Discover Pittsburgh.
Awesome. And I'm putting.
Just muted yourself, Camille.
Thank you. I put my LinkedIn in the chat if anyone wants to connect with me in that way as well. And first, I see a question about AI at some of the other universities in the region. This is a great question. We heard a lot about CMU, but there's also at WVU, West Virginia University in Morgantown, a translational AI program that's excellent. Pitt has trying to remember what it's called exactly, Intelligent Systems Master's Program, and which is great. I know some of the other schools like the Community College of Allegheny County offer courses and programs in AI as well.
That's great.
Kyle, do you see any questions you'd like to answer?
Let me see. I think it's in terms of companies that are interested in coming to the market and how they can sort of enter, that is our core work at the Pittsburgh Regional Alliance. As Camille mentioned earlier, we have a talent team who can help companies that are here right now, with those efforts. Certainly companies that are looking to open an outpost here or even relocate, to the region. Those that are here that are, maybe facing some challenges, want to get plugged more into that ecosystem or looking to grow. In addition to the talent aspect, though, the business investment team, where Camille and I spend a lot of our time, is really able to help support, whether it's real estate, whether it's discussions with local or state officials on what potential support and investment tools may be available. Other ways to sort of help amplify messages of companies that are here and have exciting announcements, like Amarinus Tech, analytics that Camille mentioned earlier. We're really here to be a resource, more to just ensure that the regional economy is able to grow and sustain itself and create that economic opportunity, for everyone, and do it in an accessible way, which I think is, a really important point of Gear Up and Perscolas, the two tech providers that, Camille mentioned earlier. It's more about, not just how do we bring talent in, but how do we sort of cultivate the talent that's here, latent or coming out of the universities. So.
Awesome. I don't see any other questions coming in right now, but again, you can feel free to reach out to us after this session, and we will be sending a session follow-up with a recording.
Yeah. So again, there's our contact information. Thank you all for joining us again. Camille will walk you through the sessions that's still yet to remain and those that we've covered so far.
Yeah, awesome. And I am putting a few other links in the chat, one of them being to the listing of these events. So you don't just have to hear them here, but you can go to that Pittsburgh Region events page. But upcoming, we have a number of sessions about remote work, about energy, more about the tech ecosystem overall, advanced manufacturing, the tech talent pool. And if you missed one of our earlier sessions, we have recordings that are on that same Discover Pittsburgh events page of the life sciences sector, as well as cybersecurity and fintech. There's logistics and transportation, and I think I'm forgetting another one of them, innovation ecosystem. So, whatever you're looking to find today, I'm sure we can plug you into what's going on in Pittsburgh.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks so much for joining us.